It's Monday, April 15th, Tuesday, April 16th. If you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under, and this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Welcome to a brand new week. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, on top of the melting mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel in Suho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the In Suho banner, and subscribe today. For the last 2 decades, ghost hunters have relied on a fairly unchanging bag of tools, but a new parapsychological experiment is shaking up the field with jaw-dropping results. After gaining popularity in the hit docu-series Hellier, the Estes Method, sometimes called the SB7 Spirit Box experiment, is changing the way people investigate the paranormal, and quickly. Randall, who plays a big role in Hellier, really jumped into the limelight with his interesting use of the ghost box, and he's here to discuss it tonight, along with some incredible paranormal stories, and he'll answer your questions as well. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the news with the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Randall, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. We've had your entire team on now. I'm very glad that the entire Hellier team has jumped on the Spaced Out Radio bandwagon.
It's very true. You've got the full set, sir. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You know, we're going to get into a lot about Hellier and the Estes Method tonight, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But I want to start off with you, my friend. How did you get involved with the paranormal?
Yeah, my story begins like many paranormal investigators who are a part of my generation, sort of in their mid to late 20s does. I got really into the TV show Ghost Hunters when it came out, when it was very popular back in the day, back around the 2005 to 2009 era. Before that, I did have some experiences in childhood that sort of sparked an interest, and then once the TV show came out, I was just off and running. I actually, when I was 17, it's funny, I told a little white lie. I said I was 18, but I was only 17. I applied to be a part of the TAPS family group. So Ghost Hunters was so popular back then, they would essentially have different sister groups in different regions of America. Many of these groups still exist, and the calls would go out to those locations first, right? So as a young 17-year-old, I was on that team for quite a while. Basically, we would get the calls and all these residential investigations and a whole bunch of businesses as well. I logged a whole bunch of investigations with that crew. And then I landed a job at the Stanley Hotel, which is luckily right in my backyard. And so I was the concierge / ghost tour guide at the Stanley Hotel in the summertime when I was off from school, just because I wanted to be around ghosts so much. And then I landed a gig alongside Karl Pfeiffer, Lisa Nyhard, and Michelle Tate. I became one of the resident paranormal investigators of the Stanley Hotel, and our job was basically 3 nights a week to take groups of 20 people on a ghost hunt. And I did that, we were up there for 4 years and had a whole slew of experiences there. So that's sort of my origin story, my paranormal pedigree, so to say.
What are some of those childhood experiences that really made you take this seriously?
I've got a unique twist on some of this, and a lot of people don't realize this. I'm sure a lot of the people who might even be listening don't know. I'm actually a heart transplant recipient, right?
Oh, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So life's good. But that was, death and the afterlife and the idea of life continuing on was something I had to face from a very young age. And that sparked an interest. I am convinced that I saw a ghost in my childhood bedroom. that ghost scared me into my parents' room, and my parents, I was so scared, I slept on their floor as a kid for a few weeks there because I saw that ghost. And that's when I woke up and I fainted, and my parents rushed me to the hospital, and that's when they realized that I was having some issues with my heart. So really, I was kind of saved by a ghost. I truly believe that. And having that happen so early on, about 10 years old, really put a strong belief in me from an early age. And now you just once you get bit with the bug, I just want to keep going out, trying to get to the bottom of it.
You mentioned getting to the bottom of it. What are you trying to get to the bottom of? Because so many different paranormal investigators have such different theories on that. And for instance, myself, I would like to know for my own brain, my own anxiety, that there is confirmation of life after death. But a lot of us don't seem to be going after those types of answers. So what are you trying to solve out of all of this?
It's funny, and I'm sure a lot of people put out a lot of different answers, like you say. For me, I want to have a better idea as to who or what is pulling the strings for a lot of this larger phenomena. That gets into, of course, some alien stuff, even cryptozoological stuff. It all sort of gets connected very quickly. But I have already reached that point in my personal growth where I believe in life after death. I believe that I've seen evidence of it. And you know what? I don't think I need to go around trying to find a video of a ghost. People will only believe what they're there for themselves, honestly, is my takeaway, which seems strange because, of course, I'm, in a sense, in the business of making paranormal programming. But it's about the journey for myself. And it's a blast. It's very fun. Who wouldn't want to do this?
I do have to ask, considering you are a heart transplant recipient, and I'm so glad that you've been able to survive off of that. I got a good friend of mine in the Pennsylvania area who has gone through that as well. Have you ever received any type of messages or any type of experiences from your previous donor or from your donor?
Sure. It's interesting because my donor's anonymous, and at this point I don't know who he is. I know that he was a 21-year-old male, and I was a 13-year-old boy when I received the heart. But I'll tell you what, I have had dreams, and this is honestly getting pretty close to the chest here, but I'll bear it. I've had dreams of a face. I've had dreams of. I have a general idea as to what I think this person might look like. I'm very curious. Maybe in the future I'll sit down with a sketch artist or something if I reach that point where I'm ready to find out who it is. I have not had this huge experience with the donor, but I think I've got enough of an inkling as to who this person might be. Yeah.
Well, it's sad that a family had to lose, but the good part is we got you in return, which is absolutely awesome, my friend.
And thank you. We always say, tragedies happen, but good can come out of a tragedy. So we'll just spend the first 5 minutes of this broadcast giving the PSA that everybody should be an organ donor.
Yeah, you know what? I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. I'm an organ donor myself, and if you're not an organ donor, make sure it doesn't matter where you are, go sign up for it, because when you're gone, your parts can be used to save other lives, and that's a really, really cool thing to do, is to leave some sort of legacy for your family and for other people who could use it. So that's a really good PSA. You know what? That actually gives me an idea. I think I'm going to create organ donor commercials now. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I will. And you know what? I would like, we'll do this on the air, and maybe I'll put you on the spot here, but I would love for you to voice them up for me.
Sure.
If you're cool with that.
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal. Let's see how many people we can gain in from you doing that, because even if we get one, we're successful.
Oh yeah, you save one person, and one donor can save 8 lives. It could really, It really makes a big difference. So, right.
Absolutely. Let's work on that. But more about the paranormal tonight with you. You got involved at the Stanley Hotel. We have heard so many different stories about what went on there. What makes the Stanley Hotel so fascinatingly haunted?
Exactly. You know, it's funny. The Stanley Hotel is famously the Shining Hotel, right? So that's how most people know it. It's where Stephen King based the book. He started writing the book there. The movie is not filmed there. The movie was filmed at different sound stages and actually up in Oregon for some of the exterior shots. Stephen King wanted the movie to be filmed there because that's where the book is based. There was a mini-series filmed there, but that's how it started its reputation. However, as a resident investigator, we were very interested in sort of getting to the bottom of this. We tried to track how far could we track these ghostly happenings back, right? Some of the earliest stories I found were from the 1970s, around that Shining era. So that's sort of a chicken or the egg question, right? What came first, the Shining or the ghosts of the Stanley Hotel? I don't have an answer to that question. They might have spurred it from the beginning, or perhaps it's possible that so many people being so focused on the Stanley Hotel being a haunted location, they could have made it haunt them themselves unintentionally, you know, just that focused energy. Regardless of how it happened, what that origin story is, the Stanley Hotel is absolutely haunted. And I even say that as a former employee. You know, I'm not being paid to say that at this point for a long time. I had so many experiences there, and some of my best experiences were locking up by myself at night or with Karl or Michelle. Whoever was there was some residual activity there, some of the patterned activity that happens over and over again. But there were definitely some intelligent ghosts, 3 characters in particular that we came to know.
Who are those characters? Let us know about
those characters. Yeah. So this is the lowdown. You won't get on the ghost tour, right? The brief summary of those characters. There's Paul. He was a former security guard from the hotel who passed away, from what we could gather, just maybe 15 or 20 years ago. And he's still sort of being a security guard for the hotel himself. So that's Paul. The other one is Lucy. Lucy was allegedly the spirit of a homeless woman who was living in the basement of the Stanley Hotel, who in the 1970s, when the building was a little more dilapidated, she was discovered, they kicked her out, and unfortunately she froze to death in the town of Estes Park. That's the story we were told. However, as we came to find out, we tried to look up records. We could never find an actual confirmation from somebody dying from exposure or from a homeless woman living in the basement. Regardless, Lucy the ghost was there. That's the name she answered to. And in a sense, that's the story she answered to. She was really focused to just one building. And she was a very light, happy energy. She was a lot of fun. The third spirit that we came to know was a ghost by the name of Eddie. Eddie, we don't know where he came from. He just kind of showed up one night. He had a very intense smell. He had very intense markers as to an indication of his presence. In addition, he was very vocal, and he had a sense of humor. He was the kind of ghost that would intentionally make you jump, move things around, scare people by touching them or appearing as a shadow figure. Eddie had a lot of personality, and he still does.
Why do you think those spirits are still there? And the other question that I have, in regards to the movie The Shining, could any of them be some sort of tulpa that came after the energy from the movie faded away?
Yeah, that's a fair question. And, you know, in regards to, I'll knock out the first one first here. So in terms of a tulpa from the movie, my quick answer is actually probably no. The only potential tulpa that I could foresee from The Shining is the ghost of when people hear children in one of the hallways, which is, of course, a famous scene from The Shining. But I think all of the ghosts in The Shining were scary and malevolent. The ghosts from the Stanley Hotel, the true ghosts, were very friendly beings. Why are they still there? I think they were there because they got attention. I mean, how many haunted locations, all these famous haunted locations that ghosts might be residing in, or where people go to make contact with ghosts, how often are people ever really there? You know, maybe once every Saturday or Sunday night you have some different tours or investigations. How incredibly rare is it to have a location where somebody is there each and every night of the year looking for ghosts. So the ghosts that really want attention, I think they flocked up to the Stanley Hotel.
We've never really talked about how haunted Colorado is as a state. There's a lot of weird and strange happening there. There's a lot of military presence. There's a lot of action that happened in the 1800s, going from the gold rush all the way up to now. For people who have never been to Colorado, Connor, what are we dealing with there in regards to the paranormal, using that word as an umbrella term?
Yeah. With Colorado, you're dealing with a few different things. We, of course, have Denver, which is an old city, back from the mining days, sort of a Wild West town. But then when you get deeper into the mountains, you're dealing with a lot of really interesting haunted gold mines, haunted, old prospector towns, literal ghost towns, that are just sitting up there, here for anybody's investigation. And then after you get past all of those sort of old abandoned towns that are out there in the mountains, and I'm of course being sort of giving paranormal stereotypes here, but there's a lot of them out there. Another really worthwhile thing we have in Colorado is the San Juan Valley, right? There's a book called The Mysterious Valley out there, and there's the number of UFO reports, the number of strange encounters reports from this particular valley that sits in between two mountain ranges near the Sangre de Cristo Range down there in southern Colorado, is ripe with alien and UFO activity. And in addition, to further that thesis, it of course sits right on the line of the 37th parallel.
What is special about the 37th parallel?
That's a whole theory that's been perpetrated by a couple of guys. I wish I could remember his name. He's based in Colorado. I know he's been on the History Channel, things like that. There's also a book out there. Ben Mesrick, I believe, has that book out, where they believe that this particular line that crosses throughout, the world, obviously the literal sort of longitude and latitude of the Earth, the 37th parallel, for whatever reason, is marked with different hot spots of UFO activity. Why? I can't say.
Interesting. Connor Randall is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Connor, when we look at the way the paranormal has taken off over the last few years, and we're going to talk a lot about Hellier in the next half an hour, when you guys started talking about Hellier and getting it going, how did you come together with Greg and Dana? I know your connection to Karl through the Stanley Hotel, Karl Pfeiffer, that is, but how did this all come together from your end?
So it's pretty funny how big this thing has blown up in a sense, where I actually, of course, was connected through Karl. And Karl, I had met Greg and Dana, we were sort of acquaintances. But Karl knows that because I helped him film and create some of the Spirits of the Stanley series at the Stanley Hotel, Karl had this intense drive to go out and document this famous goblins case that Greg Newkirk, of course, had been writing about and had talked about on a podcast that Karl heard. And he was just flabbergasted that there wasn't more sort of almost like a documentary sort of documentation of this. We went out to Hellier and went out with Greg and Dana expecting it to be maybe an hour and a half long thing, where it was sort of like an episode of Catfish. We were going to look for this guy, tell the story of the goblins, and then we're going to be good. Of course, when we got out there, we realized there was a lot more to it.
There is a lot more to it as well, and we're going to get deep into that. But in your first chance and opportunity to work with Greg and Dana Newkirk, what was your opinion of them?
I was so impressed by their really breadth of knowledge. And I'll tell you what, I was freaked out. And I'm sure if they're listening right now, they're just sitting there giggling. Their house freaked me out. It's just filled, and I'm slightly out of all the bunch. I'm probably the most superstitious, the most cautious. Of course, their house is filled with these allegedly cursed and haunted objects littered around. And so when I got there, pretty intimidated in terms of some of the stories Greg was telling. But as soon as you realize that they're just here doing this as a service, these are objects that have really scared people, and sort of, in some sense, some people think they've really thrown their lives into disarray. Greg and Dana take that and say, we'll hold on to it. It's safe here. And it is, because they have such great positive energy around them. They're just a force field of knowledge and light in this field. So I'm honored to be associated with them.
I got to meet them in 2017 at a conference in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and I was just blown away by their candor and their presentation. Good people, very good, and Dana being Canadian as well. I got to give a shout out to that, because
that's a bonus.
We don't, we got some good people investigating this.
No,
and Dana's
true.
Dana's one of the good ones.
And, and I had sat back, of course, and that's one of the suspicious things. And you're like, well, you look at the backstory of Hellier, and I know we're going to get into this, but you think about if somebody wanted to get a story out there. That's one of our ongoing theories about the Hellier case, is that maybe the phenomena wants its story to be told. They're not going to, whoever's pulling the strings behind this phenomena, they're not going to contact ghost hunters, no offense to them, but it's not going to be just this, okay, here's this 40-minute TV show program, because they know that that's not their realm. They're going to contact somebody who is a journalist, who's willing to go out and check out some of the strangest of the strange. And of course, that email, fortunately, landed in Greg Newkirk's inbox.
That's such an amazing story. Interesting story nonetheless. Connor, we only got about 35 seconds here until we go to air, so I'm not going to waste another question on you here, but I see the questions in the chat rooms are starting to line up here. Excuse me. So I do want to remind people that if you do have questions, we will take them in hour number 2. Make sure you put them, if you're in one of our chat rooms, on Spreaker, in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, in Revolution Radio, or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Do me the favor so I don't miss them. Make sure you put your questions in capital letters, and I promise you I will do my best to get them to Connor in hour number 2. Connor J. Randall is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to talk Hellier next. Then, in hour 2, we'll get into the Estes Method. We're in for a paranormal night of fun tonight on SOR. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after this.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology: Travis Walton, Paul Hellier, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters in the frozen Canadian tundra. Reminder, if you miss any part of this show or any other of our shows, you can always find them for free on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Hit that subscribe button if you don't mind for me. I'd appreciate that. And of course, great way to support what we do on a nightly basis. Head to our store on our website. Click on shop. Go get yourself a t-shirt, hat, hoodies, you name it. We got it in the Spaced Out Radio store. Tonight we are talking with Connor James Randall. You may know him from the docu-series Hellier. And he's also very well known now for a little experiment he's been working on called the Estes Method, which we're going to get into in the next hour. Connor, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend.
Thank you. It's funny, you said you're from up in the melting mountains of Canada, and I'm in the melting mountains of Colorado. Yeah.
You know what? We may be higher up on the map, but you're still higher than me in altitude. I think you got me by about 2,500 feet, if that.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, we still got the thin oxygen, which is nice to breathe. No pollution. Yeah. But nonetheless, we're talking ghosts now, and we're talking Hellier. And right before the break, we were talking about how you got involved with Greg and Dana Newkirk along with Karl Pfeiffer for Hellier. When you first got the call to head out to Kentucky for Hellier, what was on your mind? What did you expect? Because that's a type of road trip that you just can't drop everything and say, we're gone. Tell me about the planning that went into that.
So I have a seasonal job, which really works well for me following my passion here. And so I've got time. I had a few, 4 months, and basically Karl knows how passionate I am about this and called me up. We go out there, and I was expecting to be utilizing a lot of people searching methods. The big thesis of Hellier is let's find David Christie, right? So for those who haven't seen it, he's the individual who basically emailed Greg from the beginning and said that there's these strange creatures coming out of mines on his property, and then David Christie disappeared, right, when things were getting really interesting. So I was expecting to, and we did, mostly spend our time in courtroom records and looking for property records of this individual. Now, we did that, but then when we got there, we realized, and after Greg told us everything, he said, the town itself is filled with activity, and that's when we started doing other investigations as well. I also feel that it's important to note that this is how much, of course, I'm telling my poor mother that I'm going out with these strangers into the mines in Kentucky, and she says, well, where are you going? And I had to say, I don't know, because Greg, in his rightful paranoia, and Dana, they did not release the name of the town to anybody. And that was part of the way that they would check to see if these individuals who were emailing them were actually the real people or not. Nobody released the town name of Hellier. And so the night before we left, we're all sitting there with our bags packed, and Greg sits there in his living room and looks, okay, guys, tomorrow we're packing up and we're going to Hellier, Kentucky. And my gut just immediately drops. Just the sound of that town's name, is enough to sort of creep you out. And of course, then you have the real town itself, which was a whole other experience.
So you go there and you don't know where this place is, just a weird name to go along with a weird case, looking for a gentleman who you think exists, and then you find out that nobody in this tight-knit community knows who the hell you're talking about.
Right. And that's what's worth noting is that we were double-checking his identity in many different ways. Of course, it crossed our minds that this might be a fake name. And if David Christie is not actually his name, it's possible that we could still find out where the photos were taken. So we spent a good amount of time doing that. One of the things that's not in the show that we actually did was we checked the EXIF data on the photos, right? So David had sent photos of the creatures and photos of the footprints. Now, when we processed those photos, we realized that they were taken at the exact time, and we know exactly what camera he used, everything like that, at the time that David Christie said that they were taken. The problem is that he didn't take them with a smartphone, because then they would be geotagged with the location of where they were taken. Instead, they were taken with an old-fashioned sort of point-and-shoot, and with this little camera. We know that they were taken without a flash, which is also interesting, because when you watch the series, you'll see that some of them, the beings, supposed beings, almost appear to be glowing. And so that's something worth noting. But this guy's identity, the location checked out, but the guy himself did not.
Why would someone send an email like that using a pseudonym that doesn't expect? Do you think that maybe he wasn't expecting you guys to show up, or at least Greg and Dana? What do you think about that mystery?
I have gone back and forth over the last year and a half that I've been working on this case, and I have sort of come to the conclusion that I think that David might have actually been real. And that's really a world-changing experience, when you realize that this could have actually happened to this man. So much of it checked out. Of course, the big question is, now that we sort of have to set aside David after doing Hellier, and I know that I'm giving away some spoilers to those who haven't seen the first few episodes of Hellier, but we sort of put David aside, and now our search continuing on, and I can't reveal too much information because we're doing it right now and we're filming it right now, is a lot of that search for who are the other characters involved in this case,
The mystery that clowns around some of these characters, like David Christie, it just absolutely baffles me. At any time, did you feel that you guys were just being sent on a wild goose chase for the sake of somebody trying to mock the paranormal?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I thought that there's the very clear possibility that this could be the most elaborate wild goose chase ever concocted. You take the goose chase out of it, though, and you even take out all of that sort of goose chase of it actually being a physical human being, and you still have to realize, though, that things happened, that the premonitory vision happened, that there was the idea of the phenomena leading us to different locations and caves, and really just the barrage of reports that we've received since then has led me to believe that the phenomena is absolutely real. It just appears that somebody wanted us to find out about it.
Are you frustrated by it?
Yeah, I do. And I have, and it's not even in a joking, or I'm trying to look, oh, I'm such a frustrated, angsty investigator. It's not like that at all. It's a genuine sense of frustration on two parts. Part one, because I want to get to the bottom of it, and I feel as though we are literally sometimes being jerked around by this entity or person or whoever. But part two, because I see one of my best friends. I've seen Greg have a couple of near breakdowns working on this case. That a lot of the precipice is that somebody was watching them, that they, and that's a feeling of insecurity for them. And so I want to make sure that they're okay as well,
Do you believe the creatures of Hellier are real?
I think that they were real. I'm not sure that they're there now. I'm really not sure, especially in regards to all of the publicity that the case has received. I'm not saying we haven't received more reports of these things necessarily, but I am saying that David Christie certainly seemed to have a genuine experience, and the people back in Kelly Hopkinsville back in 1955 certainly seemed to have a genuine experience. I have never seen them myself, and I'm not sure I will. I think I want to from a distance, maybe a slightly safe distance, but I'd have to go with yeah. I think the goblins are out there.
You mentioned before that you weren't really into the whole UFO alien cryptid type experience up until Hellier came along. What has you convinced that this phenomena of whether it's coming from space, coming from the underground, or whatever could be causing these sightings is actually true? Why do you think it's worth investigating now?
I think that, so we have to look at a larger theory here, right? And to his credit, John Tenney, when I was probably 18 years old, told me to read this book, and I got it and put it on the bookshelf and did not read it until we started doing a lot of this Hellier research. He told me to start reading articles by John Keel. And John Keel kept coming up throughout different synchronicities throughout the case, as the viewers know. And you look at this, and it clicked with me, where this idea started to make sense. The idea of window areas or flap areas opening up for a period of time, that something happens. I think that there's two kinds of aliens. There's two kinds. I think that there's extraterrestrials from far off in outer space, and I think that there's ultra-terrestrials, which are from different dimensions, right? And sort of the John Keel theory and sort of the area that I subscribe to more often is, at this point, is that there is a possibility that something happens dimensionally. Something opens up, and I think Hellier could have very easily been a window area for those 6 months back in 2012, just as Point Pleasant was in the Mothman case back in 1967, 1968. I mean, and there's other ones. You get into John Keel, and you start to realize that, there's interesting things going on in Atlanta back in 1967, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in Columbus, Ohio. There's also lists as well. You realize that there are certainly the popular cases out there, but something happens, and I like to think of it as a needle being put down on a record. Something is being played that we can't see, that's beyond our perception. As soon as whatever that precipice is, that needle hits the record, the phenomena becomes apparent for a short period of time, and then it gets lifted back up again.
Now, I got to tell you, when I had Karl on last month, some weird stuff started happening around the studio here when I mentioned Indrid Cold. And I don't know
you
why.
You do not even know the trapdoor you are opening. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, within seconds, I was shivering from goosebumps the minute Karl had mentioned the word Indrid Cold. And as I'm saying that, I'm looking out my studio window now, because the last time, I swear, there was stuff moving out there. How does, in your opinion, Indrid Cold tie into all of this? But before you answer that, for people who are listening to the first time and don't know who Indrid Cold is, could you give a description of Indrid?
Sure thing. Yeah, Indrid Cold was/is/who knows, a being, an alien being, seemingly from another dimension, or as he said, another planet, who was going alongside a car on the highway back in November of 1966. November 2nd, 1966, a man named Woodrow Derenberger had a UFO land in front of his truck as he was driving home. This man stepped out of that UFO and walked up to Woodrow's truck and smiled, did not move his mouth, and communicated telepathically with Woodrow Derenberger, asking him questions about human existence for about 10 or 15 minutes, asking him about what a town was, what's your name, et cetera, and then he got back in the ship and flew away. Woodrow Derenberger famously told this account, which was corroborated, according to Keel, by numerous other witnesses who had seen this craft. And then that happened the day after. And then apparently Woodrow Derenberger continued a friendship with this being throughout most of the rest of his life. And he wrote a book called Visitors from Lanulos that sort of outlines that friendship that they had. Very interesting story, very strange story, but it gets a lot more intense and interesting when you realize that story sort of started out a lot of the investigations into the Mothman phenomena and all of the UFO sightings and everything that happened in that area in West Virginia back between 1966 and 1968. Indrid Cold was a key player in all of that. He ties into Hellier because we had so many interesting synchronicities that brought us to thinking that the Mothman prophecies was relevant. And then we were told specifically to, in a sense, seek out that sort of being or sort of type of being through the emails that Greg received from Terry Wrist. And so he becomes an interesting character, and I can answer maybe one more question about him, and then we'll, because I don't want to continue just with one story.
No, I don't blame you on that, but it's just the fact that, like you said, John Keel, Indrid Cold, they all seem to be tying together, and whoever this Terry R. Wrist was, I mean, is it terrorist or is that actually someone's name? Did that mystery kind of bug you too?
Yeah, and it still does. It bugs me more than any other one. Of course, we do have some season 2 coming out and some very potentially interesting revelations about that. But I will say this. The other thing about Indrid Cold is that when you look at the email that Greg received, and this is in the first season of Hellier, it's a code. Terry Wrist was this mysterious being who was sort of the leeway between David Christie and Greg Newkirk. And Terry Wrist, in a coded email, essentially said, hey, Indrid Cold is still out there. He's isolated, et cetera, there's a code here, use the numbers, right? And that sort of ties into the larger Hellier mystery as well.
Oh, it's so intriguing. And I got to admit, my friend, I am just absolutely stoked about season 2. We got about 3 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Connor, when can we potentially see a second Hellier coming on out?
We've already done some filming, and we're already doing some early edits on the mystery itself. It's interesting because we're totally doing this ourselves, which, not to toot our own horns, but really gives us the ability to exactly tell the story as it's happening. There's nobody looking over our shoulders. There's no big production company. There's no financier. It is the 5 of us who are doing this. And we're continuously creating it as we're working on the case, and we're going to go out there this summer and sort of work more on the case. In terms of a release date, I don't know if Karl would want me to give that out, but I will say sooner than you might be expecting.
Goodness, I hope so. Because that 5 episodes, man, as I told Greg and Dana when they were on and Karl when they were on, it kind of pissed me off because I needed more.
It gets deeper. And I'll tell you what, and I don't think I'm giving away any spoilers here. We're spending, the first couple of episodes now going on. We're trying to tie together some of the loose ends for the mystery. I mean, this case is literally taking over the wall in my office. I look like a crazy person to my neighbors who I'm sure look in from the window. I'm missing the yarn, but I have pictures everywhere. I've got suspects everywhere. And this case in a in a very serious fashion is absolutely an intriguing paranormal mystery. So I'm thrilled to be a part of it. I don't know why fate has called me to be in on this case, but I am here for the ride.
I got to tell you, I now want to see your office. I want to see it look like some FBI poster board for the paranormal. That would be fantastic.
I'll shoot you a picture on
see.
Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, I would absolutely love that. We got about a minute here to go before we're going to hop out at the top of the hour and wrap up hour number 1. In regards to looking towards Hellier number 2, what do you think people should keep their eyes open for? Give us a little tease.
I can give maybe the tinkiest little tease. I will say a couple of things. I will say to look into the emails from the first season, that there's some interesting things there. And I will say the second thing is that the very last 30 seconds of Hellier season 1, when that email pops up on the screen, that is not a fake tease. That's something that actually happened, and that is furthering it as well. But honestly, the audience is mostly caught up with us, and we're seriously welcoming of people giving suggestions or ideas. I love having conversations with people about the case, because I think it takes, it's the whole alien cave-based task force. It's not just us. We don't have a monopoly on this information. Like I said, we just might be the purveyors of the information out to somebody who really needs it. And so we're not keeping too many things close to the chest. A lot of it's out there. And look for some clues.
Well, we're going to continue talking about Hellier, because we're going to get into the Estes Method and your questions from the chat rooms and Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio coming up right after this with our guest, Connor Randall from Hellier, on Spaced Out Radio for the next 90 minutes. Stay tuned.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, Little Brother is watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekends. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today. Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellier, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Amber Beckerud joins us to talk about people who just disappear into thin air. We're going to get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Callithumpian. Callithumpian is your password. Nobody really knows what it means, but the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store because it's a great way to support what we do, and of course, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and so much more. Tonight we are talking with Connor J. Randall. He is, I'm going to call him the master of the Estes Method. You're probably not going to like that, but I'm going to use that title anyways, and you can find him on Hellier, the docu-series about this weird, strange, goblin-like activity happening in Hellier, Kentucky, and all of these tunnels that go along with it. Connor, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Hoping to chat with some people. I'm excited about these questions.
Yeah, I should mention that if you haven't seen Hellier yet, you could go. Easiest way for me to find it was on YouTube. Just type in Hellier documentary or Hellier. It'll pop right up. You can watch it for free. God, you guys do a good job. Very good job with that. It's just, for me, it's intense, and I'm very excited that, once again, that the entire team now has been on here, including cameos by Mr. John Tenney, who's probably listening in right now wearing a fashionable necktie.
You know, that's probably a safe bet. And I'm sure if he is, you'll receive a tweet within the next 3 minutes of him in a necktie.
Oh, I think so. I hope he takes a picture of his necktie for us and puts it at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I got some questions from the audience here. We're going to start off with them. We're going to start off with Gail's question here in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. She is asking, what do you think the Hellier creatures really are?
I think that the Hellier creatures, if they are real, I think that they might be these interdimensional beings who, involuntarily or not, landed here way back in 1955 and have sort of lived a subterranean existence since then and peek out of the Mammoth Cave system every now and then. That's sort of our growing thesis about what those things might be.
Well, that's kind of cool. Do you believe, or maybe describe, before we go into the next question, these tunnels? I mean, this is a huge labyrinth.
It is. It's huge. And we have one of the guys that we work with, Tyler Strand. He's actually an active caver. I know he's listening in right now, too. There is a cave system underneath nearly the whole of Kentucky as a state. And it is connected through all these inner channels. And, of course, it's, I'm sure, difficult but possible for something to exist and appear in multiple different areas as they pop out of the cave systems throughout the Mammoth Cave system like that. It's a place that there have been so many different reports. You know, all these sorts of beings have been spotted for years and years.
Interesting. What kind of creatures are seen around this besides these goblins?
A lot of the other reports that you hear are these things that are, there's things that are taller, there's things that sort of look like the Dover demon that might walk on 4 legs instead of 2, but the main consistency across the different reports that we've received is that these things are pale, and have large eyes, which is, of course, what you would naturally expect evolutionary-wise as something that would exist within these cave systems.
All right, let's get over to Renee's question, and she is commenting all the way from New Zealand. And she says,
Wow.
Besides Hellier, Connor, are there other projects in the works as well from your team?
Yeah, we Hellier is our bread and butter right now, but I don't think I'm teasing anything or saying anything out of line here by saying that working with Greg and Dana on video projects is absolutely something we want to continue doing. They have so many unique stories through their paranormal experiences that we are fully prepared and willing to document as much of it as we can. In addition, and I'll tease this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. In addition, my own little personal thing, this will be the first I sort of announce it publicly. I am starting a video series of my own that I'm really excited about, a little weekly series where I just, for about 3 minutes a week, I'll tell some stories and some paranormal theory, and then roll it on into the next week. Cater it to that short attention span, internet type video thing. So I'm excited to get those going here within the next month or so too.
All right. Little off topic here, but Joey is asking if you've ever investigated any of the Ute ceremonial trees.
No, I have not, but I'm aware of what you're referencing. And I'll say this, I have yet to, and if Joey has an in, I would absolutely be willing to hear it. It is so difficult as, of course, just an outsider, for me to get access to those to those tribal lands and sort of those potential experiences there. Because, and I'm not just talking about the major Hollywood stuff, Skinwalker Ranch over right near us in Utah, but just Skinwalker stories in general fascinate me. But I got to be honest, it's hard to get on the reservation to figure these things out.
I got a guy for you.
I'm ready.
He was just on this show last month. His name is Ryan Burns. He actually has a couple of rental properties up there for bed and breakfasts, and they do Skinwalker tours and everything. I'll hook you guys up.
Gnarly, sweet, yes.
Yeah. It'll be really good. But getting back to your videos that you just announced, that you're going to be doing these 3-minute videos. What's the purpose of that? Like, what are you trying to help out for your own stories? I'm always intrigued by this because there's so many intriguing stories that you have.
Well, thank you. I have sat and thought so long and hard in my free time and working on these different cases, for the last 10 years, and just sort of, I want to make this my focus and a lot of my career path. And basically I have been writing out these little 3-minute videos that will hopefully welcome people into these theories and these ideas that have been, what good are they doing just sitting here in my head, and that goes for anybody who has these sorts of ideas. Put them out there. And so I've been working on getting a method to get those out there.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
Let's start to learn a little bit about the Estes Method, because there is a lot of controversy as to whether or not the ghost box is actually a quality piece of equipment for ghost hunting and spirit communication. Before we get into the Estes, though, have you always used the spirit box?
I have, yeah. I've always used the spirit box. Since, with its success, I have experimented with a couple of other things, but mostly that being just like blank frequencies and things like that. But we've only ever really had success with the spirit box.
I was never really a believer of them until we have Bill Hauser, who is a good friend of this show. He's a paranormal investigator out of Vancouver. And he comes on this show every couple of months and does live ghost box sessions. And, the first time we did that, to me, it just sounded weird, all the clicking sounds and the radio frequencies that it was racing by. And I was kind of like, do I really buy this or not? And it was very popular with our audience, especially in the chat rooms for those who were playing along. And then all of a sudden in the second one, like, my name is, like, Dave is my first name. Scott is my middle name. I have this long Ukrainian name that I didn't learn how to spell it properly until I was like in grade 8 or 9. I mean, it's just way too long for radio. And what freaked me out is the second time we did the show with Bill, I heard my last name on there. And it absolutely weirded me out. And I've been thoroughly convinced by this since then, because there aren't very many people in British Columbia who have my last name. Sure. And to hear it clear as day, it was just, I haven't heard it on the radio in Vancouver since I was on the radio in Vancouver saying it, So, I mean,
so that's pretty great. And that brings me to two particular different thoughts about the Estes Method. And you hear about these experiences, and I've gotten to a point where I've had people send me their sessions. I sit and I listen to other people perform the Estes Method. Other people listen to spirit boxes. And putting aside just sort of the 101, the origin of it, I will say this. There's a great article out on Weekend Weird. Just look up the Estes Method, and it'll walk you through how it's done. But getting into deeper theory, because this is kind of more what this show is about, it's intriguing. I think that part of the Estes Method and part of what helps convince me that something is going on, because it is that you think about how difficult it might be for these spirit beings to have a vocalization of their own, right? So think of all of what's happening right now in order for my voice to be coming through this telephone all the way over into the airwaves of New Zealand. Now, my voice is projecting. How difficult is it for a spirit to do that? I'm not sure. But part of the name of the game, in my mind, is let's make it easier for spirits to communicate. And so we're going to give them an artificial larynx, so to say. We're going to give them a voice box that is generating all sorts of different sibylic sounds. These syllables are all over the place. And we're giving them the ability to craft those sounds into words that we can understand. And so you have to take that into account. Now, that said, I fully agree with all of the people who say, well, it's pareidolia or whatever, however you say that word. It's hearing what you want to hear. That's why we created the Estes Method. You're hearing what you want to hear because you're asking a question and then your brain is listening for an answer within those syllables that are coming out. So why don't we blind that? Let's have only one person listen to the box and everybody else is in the room asking questions, but the person who's listening to the box can't hear it. And if they give the answers that the spirits are giving, and they sort of, are saying the correct things, that quickly becomes very intriguing. So that's sort of my first thought, to help convince people to believe more in the Estes Method and spirit boxes as a whole. I think we need to make it easier for them. I also have methods for lighting. I like to make it easier for spirits to get across. The second thing I'll say about your statement, people tell me frequently, I heard this. Nobody else could have known that. I heard this. It's interesting, and I will say I have noticed time and time again, even through our own Estes Method sessions, that I believe that there's some sort of a gatekeeper phenomena happening here. I think that if I were to sit and ask somebody who's under the method and say, I need you to say the word canary right now, how often would we actually get that answer? Very infrequently. And I honestly am starting to think that maybe there's rules that are preventing them from giving direct answers. That's very, very far and in between. But instead, what the spirit will say is they'll say something about the people in the room. They'll make observances about what's happening in the room around them. They'll say, somebody will put their hand on a doorknob and they'll say, who's touching the door, things like that. They will make observances about the room about them. They will say the last names of people who nobody should know their last name, but they might not directly give us the answers we want all the time, except for very, very extreme circumstances.
Got a question from Uncle Dale, and we never know if it's him or his power stash asking the question because he's got one hell of a mustache. And he is asking, and he's got a scientific background, so he is asking, how does one give a ghost the ability to time slice through a scanner, in your opinion?
To time slice through a scanner? So he's saying that it's possible. So how does the ghost create the sounds through time? I guess I'm a little bit confused about the question.
Yeah,
sorry.
I would probably say, how do you think the ghost has the ability to communicate? And Dale, if we're wrong on that, just clarify that for me. Thank you. He's in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook.
Seems to me that it's possible that the ghost is projecting the sounds onto the box of the person who's listening to it intently. And, of course, that's the old John Tenney mantra that I'm sure he said on this show, to give him credit to that. Wouldn't it be easier for a ghost to just get inside of our minds and create and manifest what they want us to see or what they want us to hear? How often do people, even when I was 18 years old, going through these residential cases, how often does somebody have a vision of their grandpa who looks just like they remember them, right? As he says. And so if that's happening, wouldn't it be easier for a spirit to flip a switch in our own mind somehow? I think when somebody's tuned into the Estes Method, they're tuned into that spirit world and they're sitting there waiting to hear something. I think it's possible that the ghost could basically get the person's brain to hear what they want the person to hear in those sounds.
When you are listening with the Estes Method and you have the headphones on, what kind of headphones are you using to blank out the added noise that could be around you?
It's important that's what's happening, right? So when you see people using the Estes Method and they're just using little earbuds or headphones that aren't big old cans like that, I wouldn't trust their results. What we're using are Vic Firth drummer's headphones. So they're Vic Firth stereo isolation headphones. That's VICFIRTH, not a sponsor. The reason I have those headphones is because I play drums. And so they essentially block out between 22 and 25 decibels, which we found to be just about some of the strongest on the market. And they really isolate that person to hear that sound only.
So they would be considered, in English terms, noise canceling?
There's a difference between, noise canceling and noise isolating. You want to make sure that they're not necessarily, like noise canceling, because sometimes they'll take in sounds and sort of electronically change it. Really, they're just isolating. They're incredibly padded and preventing anything from getting in. Yeah.
And the blindfold that you use, what are you using there?
Mm-hmm. We're using just a standard blindfold from Walgreens. We've got a few of them for a couple bucks. But the thing is, the blindfold is mainly just to get the person in the zone so that they're completely focused and not distracted by seeing what's going on around them. But it also helps disprove anybody from reading lips. That's the other thing we use it for. When you're listening to the spirit box and when you go under, as we say, into the method, we want you to be completely isolated and focused solely on hearing that spirit box feed and reporting what you hear.
How has that differed using the Estes Method from normal ways that people are using a ghost box?
So what we're doing is we're isolating only one person to be hearing it. What we used to do, and the reason, and it sort of started out at the Stanley Hotel when Karl and Michelle Tate and I were gathering these groups of people, 15, 20 people. We would sometimes sit around in a circle in classic Ghost Adventures fashion and just listen to the spirit box playing out loud. And we would be asking questions, and somebody would say, "Oh, I think I just heard, Eddie say his name. Eddie, how are you doing?" And then maybe half the group is kind of like, I'm not sure I heard that. So people could be hearing what they want to hear, and we wanted to purely isolate one person.
Do you find that it has improved your communication success with spirits on the other side by using the Estes method?
Yeah, I think it really has. I think that, of course, Greg Newkirk has told me for a long time that it helps sort of amplify latent psychic abilities. Whether or not that's the case, I'm not sure. I like to think of myself not as a psychic, just as a really good listener, But I think that how often do we just sit, even in a paranormal investigation, how often do we just sit and get completely focused on one thing, right? And so the idea is just to really put all of our intentions and all of our focusing energies on that feed. And some of the results have been mind-boggling. One of my favorite methods, one of my favorite sessions happened back in the Stanley Hotel. I kept hearing numbers over and over again. And as it turns out, one of the guys who was with us was sitting there holding up 4 fingers on his hand, saying, "How many fingers am I holding up?" After that, I started spouting off, dozens of numbers. And I'm sitting there, and suddenly we realized that I never said the correct number, but it was very clear that the spirits were trying to get that across. Brings in that whole gatekeeper theory. It gets very interesting. Something is happening, but they're not usually allowed to give us a straightforward answer.
Why do you think we're not allowed to get straightforward answers? Because that's not the first time I've heard that.
That's a good question. And of course, I don't have all the answers, but to me, if somebody just walked out and said, "Hey, this is what the ghost world is like. This person has full communication methods." That's why I personally, and hey, it's it can be something that's I guess controversial. I mean, I don't believe in mediums. I don't think that people have the ability for straight one-on-one contact all the time. I think that instead, if somebody were just to come out and say, "Here's all the ghosts," then what would be the purpose of a larger faith or a larger, search for these things that are happening? I think we get inklings, and I think that's what we're supposed to get.
Connor, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to hop out for a break at the bottom of the hour. Connor J. Randall is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And, of course, if you're looking for the Estes Method, you got to go check out the usage of it in Hellier. Just go to YouTube, type in Hellier. Easiest way to find it for me. All 5 episodes are on there. You're going to want more afterwards. More on the Estes Method and how it was used in Hellier with Connor J. Randall right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellier, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride. Remember, if you've missed part of this show and others, you can also check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. That's where we store our archives. They're all free for you to listen to. And of course, you want to support this show? Head to our website. Click on the shop tab, pick yourself up a nice Spaced Out Radio t-shirt, hat, hoodie, you name it, we got it. And you look good in our gear as well. You know who I'm talking about. Yes, you. So go check it out on our website tonight. We got them for another hour, and then we got to say goodnight. So we got to fill a lot of information in with our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, Connor James Randall, best known for his role in the docu-series Hellier. And we're talking about the Estes Method. Connor, welcome back to the show.
Happens all the time. It's all good. Good to see you.
That's all right. That's all right. Karl the alien, Karl Pfeiffer. One has a great beard, and one just scares the daylights out of me. I haven't figured out which one yet. But you're packing a good beard these days. I've seen some recent photos.
Yeah, it's not bad. I was going to say, maybe I can be both. Right. Well, I don't think I'll scare you too bad.
Well, we do appreciate a good beard around here. You know, if you've tuned in before, we do appreciate a very good beard. So that's always a good thing around here. Let's continue on with the talk regarding the Estes Method. In Hellier, the one thing that amazed me was you were actually answering Greg and Dana's questions before they had even finished them. Could you hear them at all?
No. You know, hand up, I can't hear. There's nothing that you can hear. And that's part of the frustrating thing, is that so many people are dismissive or skeptical of the method, as I likely would be too if I were to just see it. But until you try it, you realize that you cannot hear anything. The only thing at that time that I could hear was them like thumping around the porch when they would go run away to go look at things that they were hearing in the woods. But at that point, no, couldn't hear anything. And that's how the method works, you know.
Okay, so for people who haven't seen it yet, let's paint a little bit of a picture. You've got the blindfold on, you've got the headphones on, so you can't hear any noise from outside what you were hearing on the ghost box. What are you doing at that point? What are you concentrating on?
What I do is it almost becomes a sort of relaxed meditative state, honestly, where I prefer to have, and it was very conveniently there on the porch in the cabin in the Hellier area, a rocking chair. You know, I'm just kind of rocking back and forth, and I'm completely have my headphones on, and I can't hear anything, I can't see anything, so I just sit back, and I'm inundated in this loud noise in both of my ears, and all I'm focusing on doing is not being, and this is an important clarification for those that are going to be trying the method, do not be an editor for the sounds that you hear, simply be a megaphone, right? So you hear little bits of words, say that. If you hear, you know, something that sounds really strange or really off the mark, say it anyway. you are not editing what you say and don't say. You're saying everything that you hear. So you really, it's almost, once you take that into account, it almost becomes relaxing. You're just spouting out your mouth the things that you heard.
Were you surprised when you went back in the film to watch that portion of Hellier? And obviously you would have seen the unedited version of how you were completing sentences for Greg and Dana. Did that trip you out a little bit, that you were basically answering their questions before they'd even finished or sometimes even asked?
Right. Yeah. No, I was pretty shocked at that. And I still have that unedited transcript. And we reference that sometimes as well, and maybe that's something that I'm sure we'll toss out to people. The whole thing is phenomenal. That session was really impressive. I have probably been under in the Estes Method around 50, 75 times, and most of those sessions last longer than an hour. We don't just sit here for 5 minutes and then take it back off. We'll sit there for a couple of hours. And by the end of that time, I mean, that's this entire radio program so far. By that time, you're just so relaxed and just sitting back in that zone that it gets jarring when you get knocked out of it. But some of the most impressive stuff that happened in that hour and a half long session on the porch happened within the last 20 minutes, right? When I was most in the zone and most sort of relaxed. That's when I think the phenomena really came clearly through there.
So basically, you're going into an absolute meditative state and just letting the words fly from your ears to your mouth. Yeah,
that's really all it is. There's no complicated, psychical practices or something like that. You are simply a megaphone for the sounds, and I can't stress how important comfort is. You've got to be comfortable. If you're sitting back and you're focused on your body posture and you're sitting all straight back in a place that you're uncomfortable with, or you're sitting on a cold, hardwood floor, what we do now is we just bring camping chairs with us. It's important that you're comfortable so that you can get into that state.
So when you get into that state, that everything is blacked out, everything is zoned out, you have full concentration on what is coming through your ears from the ghost box, what are you listening for off of there?
What you're listening for are clear words. What you'll hear is something, if I were to mock it, it's something like, it kind of bounces back and forth quickly. But what you'll hear within those sounds sometimes is a complete word. It might say banana, and it'll say banana like that. It's not necessarily always crystal 100%. That's exactly what the word was. It's always amazing when it is, because that does happen sometimes. But you'll hear bits of sounds and suddenly start to realize that you're hearing words come across. So you're repeating those words.
Couple questions from our audience. Stevie is asking in our Spreaker chat room, what if a different language comes through?
That's an interesting question. So I only speak one language, and I have only ever heard responses in English. I would be so curious, and I don't know of anybody who is polyglot or who knows multiple languages who has ever gone under the method. I want to see what their results are. Of course, that reminds me of Konstantin Radova, who way back in the day, one of the fathers of EVP. He was an individual who spoke multiple languages, and he would hear multiple languages come through his early EVPs. Now, conveniently, he spoke 4 or 5 different languages, and he would hear those same languages, which sort of coincides with the theory that the spirits are doing something with our heads in order to enable what they want us to hear. If Stevie or somebody else speaks multiple languages, send me the results.
All right, let's continue on with another question from our audience. This one comes from Joey. Do you have a preferred speed and direction when you're using the ghost box?
Yeah. What I'll typically do is I'll try both an AM feed and an FM feed and just sort of see which one, my gut feels might be better for that particular location. I do not have a huge preference. I think we have had a little bit more success with some of the AM frequencies. So what I would do, just for starters, is I would put it on the 200 millisecond AM speed sweeping forward. And then I would also test, and I don't do the very fastest one on FM. What I do is the 150 millisecond speed on FM sweeping forward. Those are sort of my two signature go-tos.
All right, follow up from Joey here. He is asking, have you ruled out the possibility of precognition and subconscious suggestion playing a part even with the Estes method?
That's a great question. And the short answer is no. I mean, I cannot honestly say that it could be possible. I don't think it's the case, but it could be possible that what's happening is the person is completely blocked off, and even though our conscious minds cannot hear anything because of the blindfold and the headphones, we cannot sense anything with our conscious minds, does not mean that our subconscious mind is not somehow taking in information from the room. Who knows what could happen when we sort of enter that almost sort of dreamlike state that you can with the Estes method. It's possible that our subconscious mind is relaying some information to us. In order to try to test that, what we're trying to do is have multiple people on the box. In addition, we're trying to double check how far something needs to be sent. So what we have done sometimes is we'll have one individual sit in a room by themselves, and basically they just have a baby monitor in front of them, and then we'll have the person asking the questions on the other side of the building, right? In order to check and make sure that you don't have to be directly next to the person when you're asking the questions. So these are all ongoing experiments that your listeners are onto. We don't have a monopoly on this method. We sort of created it and pieced it together, but I want them to experiment just as much as I am.
All right, this kind of leads to Gail's question here, the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Why don't you have one person in isolation to listen without distraction and have the others writing what they hear for backup and confirmation?
So is she saying you would have multiple people listening to the same feed and then the other people are writing it down instead of saying it? We could do that. That's not a bad idea. Of course, some people have better ears than others, and I think it's possible that the people who are writing stuff down might not be able to get into that truly focused state. But that is something that I'd absolutely be willing to try. That's a good thought, and we will credit Gail if that happens and leads to some good results in the future.
Well, she is my news guru for a reason, and she is a little weird at times and comes up with strange things because she is a diehard Rob Zombie fan. Big crush on him. Big crush. But nonetheless, she is brilliant sometimes with her questions. With the Ghost Box and the controversy that kind of surrounds that with people like Steve Huff and others out there who are pushing the technology, but maybe pushing it for the wrong reasons. Do you think the Ghost Box gets a little bit of a bad ride for what it has the possibility to maybe accomplish with paranormal investigation?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I hope that we're able to sort of clear some of the air for that. And I'll be honest, I really get picky with some of the sounds and the sessions that will be. I don't get picky when I'm under the method doing the session, but of course you hear so many people and see so many other people utilizing ghost boxes. I really don't trust it unless you're sitting there isolated. In addition, what I would love to see more from the paranormal community and in general is a lot more true blind investigating. How often are we sitting there and we're like, okay, we're in this haunted location and we have the ghost of a girl named Anna, and the person who goes under into the Estes method is already aware of that. Of course, that's hard to get around sometimes. When you have a place, and I'm recognizing I'm not being hypocritical. At the Stanley Hotel, we had the ghosts with the names that we knew. But once somebody is in the mindset that might be what they're trying to hear, they might be more likely to sort of manifest that sound when it might not really be there. So what you want to do is have people go in completely blind, not knowing what's going on with the hauntings of the location, and just see what happens. That's something that I would encourage more in the field.
Couple of questions. This one from Joey again. He is asking, have you tried to capture simultaneous EVPs with separate mics when using the Ghost Box?
We have certainly tried to capture EVPs, and we have also done EVPs in general with also AVPs, analog voice phenomena. I really have been getting into the cassette tape type world like that. But we have had some success, with hearing things while the sessions are going on. But I have not tried to plugged in directly like that. That does sort of segue into sort of a general other paranormal PSA I have. But if you have more questions, I will get to that later.
All right. We got Mark's question here. We got about 6 minutes here before we go to break at the top of the hour. He is asking, have you ever used one of those pucks that are now coming out?
I've never used one of the little paranormal pucks. We get so picky with our toolbox, and as I've done this more and more, the toolbox has gotten smaller and smaller. You just sort of focus on what works for you, but I've not used one, no.
You mentioned that your gear is getting smaller and smaller. Why is that?
I think you sort of get to a point, and I guess I could compare it to playing drums as well. When you start out, it looks so fun to be able to do a drum roll on, 17 different tom drums like Neil Peart, right? And you're just sort of rolling through that. And that is fun for a little bit at first. And then suddenly, as you go out, you gig more and more, you're in more locations, you start to realize that you're not using 70% of those drums that are in front of you. So you really sort of stick to your core and stick to what you're good at. It's the same with paranormal equipment.
Do you find, though, since you have maybe downsized your gear, that you are now looking at things on more of a personal or spiritual level? Because I know with John Tenney, in talking to him about this, he has stated that he likes to combine a real spiritual aspect of his investigation with the technology, whereas a lot of ghost hunters today, they are so technologically based that they are forgetting to have a feel for the location or a sense for the location that only intuition can bring.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So you want to be able to walk into a place without staring down at an EMF meter. And I sort of have become anti-EMF meter even, where you start to look and open up some physics textbooks and realize that we're not exactly sure what we're measuring with these K2 meters. But I will say this, I have gotten to a point where I'm, I guess, sort of an off keel of John Tenney there, where he gets more into the spiritualist type of things with combining his gear in that. What mine is I am trying to make it easier for the spirits to come across, as I said earlier. So I'm trying to give them sounds that they can use to create voices. I'm using different audio tones. I walk around with a speaker. I use my typical recorders for EVPs that I've had success with. Another thing that I like to use is red light. I've found that there's been good success with red light. And you start to look at why that might be the case. Of course, that's famously what they use in the Ganzfeld method. They have a red light up above the subject, and that whole idea is you're supposed to not be able to tell whether your eyes are open or not. I think that's interesting, but what I think is even more interesting is you get into wavelengths, and I think that red is actually easier on the eyes. It's something like 700 nanometers in wavelength, right? It is literally an easier sort of bump if you were to sort of visualize that. Whereas you get into the blues and the purples and it gets a lot more jarring. I think it's possible that smoother wavelengths of light might be easier for a spirit to come across. So when I investigate, I like to douse the room in red light. For me, it's not necessarily about the old-fashioned spiritualist movement of it. It's about giving whatever the spirits need to enable them to come across more easily.
We've got about 2 minutes left with you here before we go to our final break, and then we got you for another 30 after that. then we send you on home. Well, at least you get to go to bed. Some of us got to continue on here. In regards to the intuition side of the paranormal investigation, with a case like Hellier, do you find that you have to go with more brains than technology to try and figure this message out?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets more into, you sort of turn into more of a, like a PI, like a personal investigator than sometimes even a paranormal investigator. We have found that it's been really helpful to talk to people. You've got to be able to just sit and get people to tell you their stories. You've also got to be able to smoothly walk into, literally, Greg and I spent a day while Karl was filming in the outside. Dana went in with us too sometimes. Dana and Greg and I would walk into, a county records area trying to actively find out information about David Christie or Terry Rist. And you go in and it's like, well, shoot. We have to be able to somehow explain to these people who are just working their, government jobs, there's nothing wrong with that. I work one too sometimes, but it's like, how strange is this case, and we're trying to convey to these people and get information out of them. It can be tricky. You've got to be really good at talking to people. That's for sure.
You ever get freaked out?
Yeah. I do. I get freaked out when things turn kind of personal. Like you said, when the phenomenon knows things that you would not expect it to know.
Awesome. On that note, Connor, damn it, I did it again. Connor, with a great beard. Connor James Randall, our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go to break at the top of the hour, and then we're going to ask Connor some of his best paranormal stories and why he thinks all this weird stuff, whether it's cryptids or UFOs, may be connected. We got Connor James Randall for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. Then we got the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave to finish things off. Stay tuned for Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Karl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacy, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Thanks for tuning in to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you. Great way to spend my evening. Tomorrow night on the show, Amber Beckerud joins us. We're going to talk about people who just disappear with no trace. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we have people listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Calathumpian. Calathumpian is your password. Be sure you use it wisely. Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Do a little shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. It's a great way to support what we do on a nightly basis. And, of course, you could read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and so much more. For the final time tonight, we introduce Connor James Randall. He is part of the team with Greg and Dana Newkirk and Karl Pfeiffer, waiting for Season 2 of Hellier to come back. Yes.
Yeah.
Eagerly anticipating
and thank you so
this.
much. Yeah. Thank you so much for your continued interest. When we released it, we were frankly nervous. We didn't know how it was going to be received because it's so very different in so many different ways, and part of what makes it different and is that it's 5 hours long. I mean, we're not sort of being picky and choosy and trying to, pinch it all up into a 42-minute episode for a television program. We show the entire investigation, and we didn't know how that would be received, and we've been really thrilled that people are willing to come along for the ride.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that had to be, a little emotionally frustrating because you're sitting there wondering with anticipation, how's the public going to receive this? How are they going to treat this? Are they going to treat this the way people jump all on board and rip apart Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or any of those type of shows? But I think yours was done so differently with Hellier that I've looked at it and I've seen, extremely great reviews of it all. And I've seen it. I've given it a major thumbs up, even though, I don't hold that much of a stature. But on the flip side, I've seen a couple people say, oh, it's all right. It's ho-hum. But I haven't seen anybody come out and absolutely tear you to shreds. You know what I'm saying? The way some people are critical that way.
It's true. Yeah, it's been, honestly, 75% really positive reception. And I understand that maybe some people, it's not a, punch you in the gut and have this, crazy boom, 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 boom. What we're doing is we're intentionally showing you the dead ends as well, and so you don't really know when something is going in the case, what's going to happen. And frankly, we don't either. As we're going through this, we start to realize that some of these things that just sort of became weird synchronicities didn't really take us anywhere. But the case itself, the actual phenomena behind it, and the characters who are leading us on the case have become really, really intriguing to a lot of people. So I'm glad it's out there, and I'm glad that the message is being received.
We mentioned in the first half hour of the show and we touched on it a tad, but I want to get deep into it right now in regards to the fact that up until this point, you were a ghost investigator. That was your thrill. That's what you were going after. But since Hellier, you've really started to focus more on UFOs, extraterrestrials, cryptid-type creatures, whether it's goblins, like is supposed to be in the caves around Hellier, Kentucky, along with cryptids like Bigfoot. Are you starting to see some sort of parallels in between all of these different genres?
I am, sir. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm so convinced that this is part of the reason that Hellier is, and I'm not trying to toot again our own horn. I think that that's part of the reason that Hellier is important and why this story needs to be told, is that the mainstream paranormal shows each have a little niche, and there are 3 different categories. There's ghosts, there's cryptids, and there's aliens and UFOs. No case is combining all of those things like this case has. And this case has reinvigorated a public interest in some ways in John Keel, who did some fantastic work back in the day doing exactly that, combining and finding these continuing threads. Of course, the theory behind why that happens, I'm not sure. I'm sure it's connected to the whole window area idea, right? Listen to the last line of the Terry Wrist email to Greg. The door is closed, the window is open, use the numbers, right? So the door is closed, the window is open. The phenomena, whoever that is directing us to say that window is out there. So the mission now is finding an open window area like that, you know?
So when you are looking at these ties in between everything, as I don't want to call you a skeptic in regards to it, because I don't think that may be the right term, but as somebody who is open-minded to the possibility, do you see, or how do you feel it affects the information you are gathering, not only through the Hellier case, but in general now when you see things like UFO reports or Sasquatch reports or people having little fairies or gnomes running around their property?
Right. How do I see that impacting the people? The people are being impacted by the sort of phenomena that is culturally around them, is what you sort of start to find. It's funny, and I don't know what to expect. We can sit and speculate on this all day, but this happened, you know, nearly word for word in Hellier. We pull up and we say, hey, have you seen, and what I got good at doing was in that town, you know, it was like I was making cold calls. I was just in this scary foreign town, you know, this tiny little town with 300 people in it. But I would walk up to people and say, hey, have you recognized these tracks before? And I would show them pictures of the 3-toed footprint. And they would say, no, but I did see a Bigfoot a few weeks ago. And it's kind of like, well, shoot, that's not the answer I was looking for, but how is that related now? This little tiny area is filled with all sorts of strange things. So I guess I should say there's some unique aspects to that. I think UFO hunters might go out there and they're not paying attention to what might be a ghostly or poltergeist or cryptid activity, and so they're finding UFOs. But if they were to widen their horizons, and I think we could all use, you know, a little bit more of an open-minded approach, widen your horizons, and it'll be out there. And I'll tell you what, I never thought about UFOs. I didn't, I mean, of course I did, but I didn't have any major experience. And this is something that I haven't told a lot of people either. 2 weeks after we got back from Hellier, I saw crafts, I saw something up above my neighborhood. They were these little balls of light that were sort of playing ping pong off of each other in the sky. And I sat there completely dumbfounded, took a video, and called Greg Newkirk and said, what's going on? And basically he said, well, you've been watching the phenomena and your mind is about the phenomenon and UFOs too, and now they're watching you, you know, which is an unsettling fact. But Karl and myself both had our first UFO experiences after Hellier was made. Never before that. What that says, anybody's hypothesis, I don't know.
To me, in just listening to that, it seems like Hellier opened up the realm of possibilities, and this was almost like another sign, whether it was from Indrid Cold, whether it was, you know, just your own spiritual aspect saying, look, boys, there's a lot more out here, and by the way, we're going to give you a little bit of a show just to prove it.
Oh, isn't that great? And you know, you suddenly realize that you can, sort of put on these, if you were to try to make a metaphor for it, you could sort of put on these different goggles, right, that suddenly enable you to go further into an aspect of phenomena. The important thing is staying grounded and having friends, and that's why I'm so glad that I have the other, you know, members of the team to sort of keep us all in that same little sane circle. And this brings me back to a quote again, one of my favorite John Tenney quotes that he ever said to me, and he's probably said this on Spaced Out Radio, is that dogs can't see rainbows, right? Which is great when you put it in the context of, well, just because the dog can't see the rainbow doesn't mean the rainbow doesn't exist in the same realm of existence that the dog does. It just doesn't have the biological capacity to see the rainbow. And so the rainbow's out there, and this phenomena might be all around us, but until we sort of open our mind and start to really focus and do the work into it, we might not realize that it's there.
On Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, Goddess Michelle is asking, are you surprised that Netflix hasn't picked up Hellier as a show yet?
I would certainly hope that Netflix would pick up Hellier as a show. And I know that a lot of people have been tweeting, and I love that. It always, you know, sort of warms your heart to sit there and look at people tweeting at Netflix to get Hellier on there. We're absolutely open to it. I would like it. We are, like I said, completely self-financed. We're taking in what, you know, funds we can from Amazon Prime views and YouTube views and T-shirt sales that have the Alien Cave Base Task Force logo there. That's what we're using to buy plane tickets and, you know, more gear for filming and experiments as we continue the case. So, heck yeah, if we had a budget behind us, I think we could do a lot. And I think the important thing, though, is that we want to remain with creative control, you know, as I've said.
Gail is asking in the SOR Space Travelers Club, being most uncomfortable with ghosts, please tell us why they do not frighten you.
They don't frighten me necessarily because I like to think of them as my friends. I'm faithful, you know, I have a faith-based sort of, I'm subscribed to the Catholic religion, born and raised Catholic, and I know that sort of comes to a head with some areas in this field, but I like to believe. I believe that I'm sort of protected. I say prayers for that before I go into investigations, and I really do think that I have some friends who are ghosts who are out there sort of helping me out. I think Eddie from the Stanley might be one of them, but I had such a different experience where I was, 10 years ago, I was 17 years old, and I'm walking through the hallways of the Stanley Hotel by myself in the outbuildings, locking up the buildings, right? And once you do that, you kind of start to get immune to being afraid of ghosts when you're in the Stanley Hotel by yourself as a teenager so often. So I used to talk to them and probably sounded like a crazy person to anybody who was listening, but I would just walk in and say, hello, how's everybody doing? I'm just here to take care of the building. Sometimes I would sing a little song as I'm going around locking things up. One time I heard somebody walking down the stairwell behind me. I could hear their hand on the railing, turned around, nobody was there. They would come out sometimes while I was out there by myself, and never had a bad experience, honestly. It was always maybe a little shocking, but I like to think they're friends, yeah.
All right, continuing on here, Uncle Dale is asking, variation of an earlier idea. If you made a recording of the audio and of what the person listening to it is saying. You could later compare the two and find out if the ghost was actually changing the audio or talking in the listener's head. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, agreed. We actually have just to do a little self-plug, we do have an episode of Spirits of the Stanley where we just have a full uncut spirit box session. We have the audio from the feed playing at the same time that the person who is listening to it is hearing. You will notice sometimes when I say things, and I even listen back to this, when I say things, I don't want to give a percentage to it, but maybe 30% of the time I couldn't quite make out the word when I went back and listened back to that feed. But most of the time you can. However, it was still an interesting session. So that, again, comes to a head with, well, hey, who is controlling, what we're hearing? And why do we sometimes hear things that we don't hear later? It's interesting.
Sticking with the Stanley, Joey is saying he captured two spirits appearing to reference his presence between themselves. Did you find this as well?
Yeah, is he saying at the Stanley?
Yeah, the Stanley.
We had not very many intelligent ghosts, but the ghosts that were there seemed to be aware of each other. It was really interesting, and you got to take this into context, right? So we were not just sort of one-off investigators, and that's one of a bone I have to pick with every paranormal show. They go in and they're there for a weekend or a few days and then off to the next one. I really don't think that you get a larger grasp for the phenomena or how hauntings occur doing it that way. We were literally at the same location 3 nights a week for 4 years, basically, right? So we really got to know everything really well. We had the ghosts would sometimes in their responses, either through Estes Method sessions, through EVPs, sometimes audibly as voices from nowhere, seemingly. They would be aware of each other's presence, and some of them didn't like other ones. And so Karl and I and Michelle, we used to go in the middle of the night and almost sort of be like the ghost babysitters in a sense. We literally said to Eddie one time, hey, you're freaking Lucy out. She's a little bit nervous and scared. She's giving us a lot of scared responses. Can you go hang out upstairs on the balcony? Please don't bother her. And he did listen to that for a while. Really became an interesting relationship we had sort of with the spirits there. But to also say this, the building was not haunted all the time. It was haunted some nights. And the nights that it was were really impressive. But sometimes, maybe 70% of the time we'd walk in and not much would happen. We wouldn't feel anything. Other times we would walk in to drop off the gear and we'd be like, oh man, there's some spirits around us right now. And we're not psychics. We're not mediums in any regard. We just got really used to the way the building felt. And I think that, I guess, long story short, long-term investigations are vital to the future of the field.
We have about 4.5 minutes left with you tonight. And big thank you to you for coming on the show. I really do appreciate that. And
yeah.
I just want to finish up by saying you are an animal lover. You are someone who volunteers. Yeah. Why have pets become such an important part of your life?
Pets have, animals who need help have become my passion cause. That's what I love. I love dogs, and I love ghosts and paranormal phenomena. And we foster dogs and cats. Rocky Mountain Puppy Rescues, the organization we work with, it's brought some wonderful people into my life, my significant other included. And you take that into account, and suddenly you look at some of the numbers of the dogs who are being, put down in shelters, who need help, who need a way out. And if we can foster a dog for a couple of weeks, we will do that. And we have, with my family, fostered 200-something dogs at this point. So that's something that's going to be a passion cause throughout my life. animals are special. You know, there's something in their eyes that really sort of really gives you a lot of empathy and a lot of feeling there. So, yeah, I appreciate that shout out there. Adopt a dog. It's important.
Yeah, I got 3 of them myself, and they're a big part of our family, and we adopted one last year from Haunted Crew of Canada's Mike Morn, a purebred black German Shepherd who has really taken a liking to my little boy who's 5. He can't go anywhere without that dog now. That dog
awesome.
follows him everywhere. I don't even have to worry about it. Like, yeah, we got a lot of animals here, you know, that can hurt you, especially kids. So when my boy is running around the backyard, that German Shepherd is right by him, always has an eye on him. It's just like he's been in the family since a pup, and he's about 7, 8 years old now. But yeah, I'm a big fan of having pets and dogs and cats because they just make a house more of a home, in my opinion.
They do. Yep. A personality just there living with you, and they are so thankful when they're rescues too. You know, you can tell. They know that they've been helped. So it's a great feeling. Yeah.
I do have to ask, you ever have any of the dogs or cats notice any paranormal activity around your house?
Oh, I totally have. To close out, just to let everybody know, I am so intrigued in finding more answers from these ghosts that we got to know from the Stanley, that on our last day at the Stanley Hotel, when we left, when we stopped doing the investigations there, I legitimately held open the door behind me and made a call out to the Stanley Hotel. I said, if there are any ghosts here who want to come with me or want to come with us, come with me. I want to keep talking with you. And flat out invited the ghosts who I had gotten to know to come to my home, and we have had some things happen, and we have absolutely had the animals react. It's a great little alert system. There's something to it. There's something to that intuitive ability that they have.
Connor James Randall, make sure you, before you exit here, because we've got about 60 seconds, let everybody know where they can find Hellier and what's coming up in the future with it.
Yes, sir. So go ahead and check out Hellier.tv or look up Hellier on YouTube. If I'm being completely honest, we actually receive the most funds when people watch it through Amazon Prime. So we encourage people to check it out on Amazon Prime. All 5 episodes are up there. That's Hellier. It's the name of the town in Kentucky where all of this strange things happen, is what the series is named after. So check out Hellier. In addition, you can find me on Twitter at Connor J. Randall, same as Instagram, and then on Facebook, Connor James Randall --paranormal. I'm hoping to really up those pages in my off session time here. So I'm really excited to chat with some people and honestly encourage your listeners to please try these experiments, become a part of the case. And let me know what their thoughts are.
Absolutely.
This is a group effort. It's a group effort, and I'm glad to have a lot of people along for the ride. Thanks so much for having me.
Right on. Connor James Randall, thank you so much. Up next, we got the SOR Space or Newswire and the thought of the day. We'll be back.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything is an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellier, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on the Mighty SOR. If you missed most of tonight's show, remember, you can always catch it on our archives. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And always a good way to support this show is by going to our website, clicking on the shop tab, do a little shopping for yourself, get some Spaced Out Radio gear tonight. Now, it's time to get to the weird, the wacky, the WTF in the SOR Newswire. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show to discuss the weird, the wacky, the WTF in the news that may not make the mainstream, but heck, it's good enough for all of us. But this one did make the mainstream. Really sad news out of Paris, France today, as the 850-year-old Notre Dame Cathedral has gone up in flames. Now, this is a building that survived 2 world wars, the Napoleonic War, and unfortunately, a terrible tragedy, according to President Emmanuel Macron, has just devastated this. Both bell towers are gone. The roof of the main building has collapsed. The building's sphere. It's horrible. Now, what they believe caused this accidental destruction was construction in the renovation. But, I mean, there's so much priceless artifacts in that building that'll be lost forever. The building took over 100 years to build. And to see it go up in flames, I think, even if you're not Catholic, you feel horrible about this. You do. So far, 500 firefighters were working on this, trying to keep it from collapsing. But some of the structures just could not be saved. However, a lot of the building has been, thanks to the hard work of the men and women who were battling the blaze. People in the area, people all around France, are crying over this because the building is such a staple to the tourism community and to the history of France. President Macron said we will rebuild Notre Dame together and praised the extreme courage and professionalism of the firefighters. Hopefully, they can have a lot of the building to salvage. But the pictures and the video footage are just horrible. You just feel your stomach sink right down to your feet. Thankfully, doesn't look like anybody has died in this fire, And of course, Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of the biggest stories to come out of that. But I mean, think about the artists, the musicians, the poets who have graced those floors with their work. Oh, it's heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking. Now, if you haven't checked out my latest blog, highly suggest you do so by going to spacedoutradio.com. Just look for my ugly mug on the photo. So, every now and again, we get into this little, I don't want to call it a rut, because it's definitely not a rut, but we get into this little conundrum where over a span of a couple of weeks we'll have, it just seems like numerous guests pull out at the last minute. So I wrote this blog about what really happens here. So for people who don't know, I do a lot on my own. I got a great team behind me. I really do. From the investor all the way down. And sometimes when you're a one-man show like we pretty much are, except for our news and social media and behind the scenes, I do all the booking, I do all the production, I do all the commercials, I do literally everything. And it's really, really tough when someone no-shows. Like the other night when we did the Art Bell tribute show, we were originally going to be doing a show about doppelgangers. And our guest literally no-showed. Couldn't get a hold of him. Won't give out his name because he doesn't need the publicity. Still haven't heard from him. We're like 3 days later. Not too impressive, considering he was the owner of a company. But nonetheless, it happens, and the show must always go on. I mean, we just can't cancel a show. We got to make sure that show is on the air. You guys are wanting your entertainment, whether it's Peak Woo times 10 or whether we have somebody who's talking reality about the show. And the reason why I wrote the blog about this was because sometimes I want you guys to remember, this is hard what we do. And not just me, but other show hosts as well. Trying to produce a 5-night-a-week show with different guests. Yes, sometimes we have repeat guests on every month. Or every couple of months. But nonetheless, it's a tough gig. It's a very tough gig when you're trying to do everything on your own. And when you have a no-show, it makes it that much more difficult. And I know there were a lot of you out there who were really looking forward to Friday night's show. But the main thing is, I think we were able to pull off at the last minute, literally, with 10 minutes to go before showtime. I called up a few friends, and they showed up. And we did the Art Bell tribute show. I think it turned out pretty good. Could have been better. We can always be better. But considering we had 10 to 15 minutes to prepare for it, that's where it gets a little tough. Little tough, but we were able to do it. So, just so you guys know, this is what I do to confirm a guest. About a week before showtime, I will send the guest a confirmation letter reminding them that they are on the show. I need all of their contact information, and this is where you can find us on social media. This is how your friends, family, or your followers can follow the show when it's on the air. Go through a pretty long diatribe in regards to it. And then I wait for that to get back. And with about 2 days before showtime, if I don't have anything, I send something out saying, yoo-hoo, remember the show we're doing in a couple of days? If I still don't hear back, I do one the next day. If I still don't hear back all day of show day, I'm passing messages. Look, we are 9 hours before showtime, 3 hours before showtime, 2 hours before showtime. Whatever it is, they get a lot of messages on the day of the show, even leading up to the minutes. And it's tough sometimes because you want to be able to bring out the audience that you're advertising. I mean, you guys, the audience, you don't deserve that. If somebody books their time to come on and discuss things with you, you deserve their time. They've committed to you. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So take a read to my blog. Tell me what you think, either on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio or on our Facebook pages. Let me know. Let me know. So if you're about to be a guest on the show, show up. It makes life a lot easier for all of us. So get this. There was a dog found in the middle of the Gulf of Thailand, paddling some 130 miles away from shore before he was rescued by oil rig workers this past Friday. Workers spotted the head of the dog poking out above the water as he paddled through the ocean towards the platform. And this is just incredible. The dog was shivering, barely able to keep up his momentum, but he made it to the platform where workers on the Chevron Thailand Exploration and Productions oil drilling team were able to finally get a rope around his neck and pull him up to the main platform. They had to race against time as winds were picking up. The waves were getting bigger. They didn't want the dog to be swept away. The brown aspen dog was eventually pulled from the sea safely, but looked absolutely exhausted. They believe the dog had fallen into the sea from a fishing trawler. She has now been named Boonrod, which means in Thai, making a spiritual donation for good luck in the future. So Boonrod spent the weekend aboard the drilling platform, receiving food and water from the crew before she was brought back to land today. People could be seen greeting the dog on video as she was taken off the boat and delivered into the care of the animal charity Watchdog Thailand. Oh, the dog looks so happy in her pictures. So happy. Big smiles on that dog. And the crew looks pretty happy as well. Good job. One of the crew members is hoping to actually adopt her now. Says, I am looking forward to spending many happy years with her. I hope so. That dog deserves it after swimming that far out into the ocean. Tokyo Electric Power has begun removing spent nuclear fuel rods from the second building at the Fukushima plant. Yeah, this was one of the plants that was destroyed when that massive earthquake hit there a number of years ago, causing literally hundreds of radioactive cylinders to become very, very dangerous. Company known as TEPCO said today that it had successfully removed the first of more than 560 fuel rod assemblies from the number 3 reactor and placed it in a specially designed steel cask for transfer to the ground. The reactor was one of 3 reactors at Fukushima that suffered meltdowns in the 2011 quake, and the tsunami shut down the plant's cooling systems. In 2014, this same company finished the removal of fuel rods from number 4 reactor. The removal operation for number 3 site, though, is much more difficult because of the damage it suffered in that event, with an explosion covering the pool where the rods currently sit in debris, including a crane. The damage in the debris removal delayed operations for 4 years. Additionally, the high irradiated air around the site means all the cranes moving the transport casks carrying the rods, which weigh about 45 tons, must be operated remotely. Oh, that's dangerous. Remember, the sad part about this is, in that disaster, over 160,000 people were forced to evacuate to nearby areas of higher levels. Many of them still not able to go home because of the nuclear radiation. The project is expected to be completed by March of 2021, 10 years after the event. But apparently it's all about safety. The damage so far has cost the Japanese government, in dismantling Fukushima, decontaminating the affected areas, and paying compensation, around 21.5 trillion yen, which equals out to about $192 billion. Literally about 20% of the country's annual budget. That's a lot of money. TEPCO has apparently struggled for more than 8 years with rising levels of contaminated water that comes from its jerry-rigged cooling system from the melted reactor cores, in addition to power failures and water leaks. Last year, a company said a system meant to purify contaminated water had failed to remove dangerous radioactive contaminants, setting back efforts to deal with the water that is piling up in the tanks it is covering. Horrible, horrible situation there. NASA's TESS mission spots an Earth-sized exoplanet. How about that? Another one. Now, this exoplanet is in a star system only 53 light years from Earth. Oh, nice. You know, I'm sure they'll get a Tesla very soon. It's so exciting, according to Johanna Teske, author of a study describing the planets and Hubble postdoctoral fellow at the Carnegie Institute of Science, says, it's so exciting that TESS, which launched about a year ago, is already a game changer in the planet hunting business. The spacecraft surveys the sky, and we collaborate with the TESS follow-up community to flag potentially interesting targets for additional observations using ground-based telescopes and instruments. The Earth-sized planet, dubbed HD 21749c, completes an orbit of its host star every 8 days. Its planetary sibling, HD 21749b, is about 23 times Earth's mass and has a radius about 2.7 times that of Earth. That puts it in the category of a sub-Neptune or mini-Neptune. Researchers determined that the density suggests that the mini-Neptune has a substantial atmosphere, but it's not a rocky planet like Earth, which could make for insightful follow-up observations about how the atmosphere is composed and its evolution. And finally, because we can't leave you hanging, a Newport Richie man used a frying pan and a lamp pole to attack two people during an argument. According to Florida's Pasco County Sheriff's Office, 51-year-old Gerald Lee Thornton Jr. has been evicted from his home and got into a fight with his neighbors on Friday night. One of the neighbors told deputies that Thornton chased him with a frying pan and hit him on the left side. The man took the frying pan from Thornton and punched him multiple times in the head. Thornton then got up, hit the second man in the back of the head with a lamp pole. No idea if that lamp pole was actually a UFO. Let's get to the thought of the day. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we put a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What, in your opinion, makes a good radio show host? William. Challenging questions, an informed host with integrity and high journalistic standards and some level of objectivity. Allison probably has the best one. Epic beards. Enough said with that. Caden, content is key, but host and listener communication is awesome. Your attention is kept when you feel like the host is making you a part of the show via questions and statements. My buddy Pete in China, used to work in radio with him in Vancouver, says asking people on Facebook what makes a good radio show. Yes, thanks, Pete. Appreciate that. Heather, what's that hockey commentator? Bob Cole? Dave's voice is pretty close to that. Adds to the show. Don't know about that. James Shepard. A host who won't try to push his personal views down the listener's throat and is fair and open-minded. Nigel. Challenging questions. A host that is objective, impartial, and listens to the guest's answers. Kevin and Kevin's beard. Controversy. Answers we can believe. A host that can present this in a manner to keep my interest. Karl, a great host which has already been defined here by others, and just as important, a mix-up of topics on a day-by-day basis. The paranormal umbrella stretches wide, and listeners have different tastes. Having the same genre of topics more than 2 days in a week makes some ecstatic, but disappoints others. Yes, that is so tough. We got time for one more. Susan, a good host that can lead the guest to a good interview. Just that simple. Remember, you can find all of our news at spacedoutradio.com, clicking on the news tab. Captain Shirk, our news director, has you all prepared for that. And of course, all of your news is brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Want to say a big thank you to Connor James Randall for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight, talking about Hellier and the Estes Method. Try it out if you have a ghost box. Sounds like a lot of fun. Tomorrow night on the show, we are getting into missing people. YouTuber Amber Beckerud from I think she's from the Yukon, Whitehorse, Yukon. That's where Mrs. SOR is from. She's way up there. She's like a 20-hour drive from me, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. You just point north. You might see her waving. She joins us tomorrow night, talking missing people. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms on Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and the SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for telling your friends, doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night, because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. See ya.